Okay, so nobody knows who we are or what we are or we aren't. But this is a podcast about bikes and other shit. Is that?
Yes.
We're like those people that stupid people think are really clever, but actually clever people can see through.
No, I think that we're the people that really stupid people think are stupider than they are. And smart people just know we're stupider than they are.
So we're just fucked.
I like to think of as the foot soldiers of the bicycle industry. The young men sent over the top to engage the Hun-like enemy on a daily basis.
Young might be a push, but we're men. Are we men?
Yes, genetically, yes.
Genetically men. We're not going to get into that political hot potato, but we probably will later on and get into trouble, but we're men, all right? We ride bikes and do other shit, basically.
Yeah. Here's one for you straight up.
Go on.
What would be worse for us, being sponsored by Rafa or a Colombian drug lord?
Oof, what would be worse or better? For me, there would be more shame in Rafa because you'd have to jump through a lot of hoops to get sponsored by Rafa. You'd have to be up their arse. You'd have to really sort of prostrate yourself in front of the whole world to get sponsored by Rafa. With very little return. I
think this says much more about your connections, perhaps, to Colombian drug lords, because I do see that as the greater reach in actually accessing, a potential, in just getting to a potential sponsor.
It really depends where you are on the ladder, doesn't it, as well? And what you've done to
I don't know. Maybe if you're doing a little bit of low-level drug dealing in your local neighbourhood, which you might be, it's that kind of neighbourhood. You might have those connections already, but
would there be any way to combine the two?
Well, I think right there you have a submission to the Rafa Corporation about maybe how they could actually make some money out of that business. Yeah, a bit of drug dealing on the side. If
you sign up to the RCC, for example, your jersey will come with a wrap in the back pocket.
No, it'll come with a kilo of a product divided into little baggies that you're required to sell. It's like an amazing distribution network.
A brand ambassador. Anyway, let's focus, right?
Yeah.
So this podcast does actually have a structure, doesn't it?
It does at the moment, but, let's see where it goes.
Should we tell our listeners what the structure is?
Sure.
All right.
That's your job.
So generally, I mean, if it goes to plan, we every week or every day or every podcast, every day, we'll have...
We are sponsored by a Colombian drug lord if we're doing this every day.
Yeah, just McDonald's coffee, mate, for me. But we'll have an introduction. Then we are going to talk about several things during the podcast, and we're going to have recurring themes, which the listeners are going to fall in love with, aren't they?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
But what I think should make our podcast unique is at the top, we don't tell you what they are. We'll just let the listeners guess week to week to find those recurring themes.
Right.
We'll be like some sort of oral Wes Anderson movie where there's these underlying themes and we don't actually have any fucking idea what's going on, which is quite appropriate for us, but there will be this underlying idea behind it.
So when the listener gets to the end of the podcast, they'll look back over what they've just been subjected to and go, oh, yes, they were clever. There was a theme to it. I was wrong to doubt them.
Yep.
Anyway, let's crack on then. So the first thing we're going to talk about this week is This Week. It's a segment called This Week or This Podcast. We haven't decided yet. This is where we take a sideways view at the cycling news.
So what's caught your attention this week?
Death.
Death?
Yeah.
Death catches everyone's attention.
It does, yeah. On a long enough time scale, it's what everyone has to deal with. Anyway, some guy's died.
Well, he's not quite dead yet, but he had a heart attack, and
by the time this podcast goes out, he will have died.
You're a ray of fucking sunshine.
Yeah,
I'm glad you're not on his team.
My condolences.
Is he dead?
You
just pull up next to him. Is he dead yet? Because really, I don't want to hang around. I just got a race to get on.
He's not going to make it.
All right? Wow, big call.
Yeah, and some would say it's his own fault, but we're going to get into that later. So let me just give you a highlight about what the story is about. A continental rider has been put into a coma after having a heart attack during a race, was it? What happened?
Yeah. It was during the race.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Ironically, coming off one of his best performances in a while, and then he has a heart attack in the next race.
What was the cause of the heart attack? Was he when he realised that he wasn't wearing enough Rafa?
No, it was when he realised his socks and gloves didn't match.
Shit. Yeah, all right. Anyway, he's been placed in a coma after having a heart attack. He was young, wasn't he?
Yeah, a bit like the guy last year who had one in Paris-Roubaix. So it's not the first. He's not the first rider to have this sort of issue in the middle of a race.
I've just noticed he was 27. Now, he's not the first 27-year-old to have famously... He's dead. He's not the first 27-year-old to have famously died, is he? We've had some other famous people who are 20s. He's joined the 27 club is what I'm trying to say.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know there was a famous list of dead 27-year-olds, but...
In the world, yeah. For example,
yeah.
Jimi Hendrix died when he was 27.
Did he?
During a race. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Here's a hypothetical. If Jimi Hendrix was a professional cyclist, what frame would he have?
What would he have?
Yeah. Would he have the Jamaican? Would he be like an artisan steel frame made by a white guy with dreadlocks and then sprayed up like the Jamaican flag? But then like each colour would like be a sort of gradient between them, and then it'd be clear coated to fuck.
No, I see Jimmy more as a sort of more of an aluminium man. I think as his road bike of choice.
Yeah,
but just scratched up and just hacked up like a guitar, just repeatedly abused.
Yeah, right.
Pure function. He's a pure Ultegra mechanical man.
He's an Ultegra, yeah.
It's all function for Jimmy. Jimmy's about getting the most out of it,
He's the Ultegra of guitarists.
Yeah, and let's be honest, the paint job is probably pretty dodge now that he's sprayed a bit of butane and set the fucker on fire like his guitar. So.
Yeah, and to get the weight up to UCI standards, he's filled it with weed.
All right.
Given to him by some Colombian.
Yeah. Maybe we just dial back the drug references. I'm getting creeped out already.
Probably. Yeah, another 27-year-old, Kurt Cobain. He'd never win a race because he was just on smack, wasn't he?
Well, surely that would ensure he would win a race, wouldn't it?
Heroin.
Yeah.
You ever taken heroin?
No.
You can't win a bike race on heroin. Trust me. So anyway, riders dying. Let's ask some serious questions now. Is it worth it? But so there's people are dying because they want to win a bike race. What do you get if you win a bike race?
You get the momentary excitement of people congratulating you, really. And that's about it. Maybe a small check.
Yep.
Which you then have to divide if you're a professional cyclist with a bunch of other dudes who did much worse than you. And some guy who gave you some bottles during the day. Sweet.
So even the most famous race in the world, which is clearly the Tour de France, isn't it? I haven't got a funny angle on that. It's just the Tour de France. I can't fucking remember who won the Tour de France 10 years ago, 15, I don't care, right? So even that race, no one remembers who's won it apart from the last guy, really. Why are these lads doing races that are sort of way less famous than the Tour de France? Why are they risking their lives to win that when there's fuck all reason to? Why am I alive?
The drugs are cheaper than the recreational ones.
Right. So that's their high.
Yeah, you can say you're a drug user.
Yep.
Which gives you a certain cachet. Yeah. Like
among certain types.
Well, the story of redemption is always the one that's favoured. It's always quite ironic. Like you get your rock star.
Yep.
Your Motley Crue.
Yep.
They live through the excesses.
Yep.
They enjoy all that.
Mm-hmm.
And then they say, when they get too old to really participate, they go, I made some bad choices and now I'm doing the right thing and I do my yoga and, I eat vegan and all that sort of stuff. But fuck me, dude, you did spend 20 years of fucking snorting drugs and, banging anything with a heartbeat and just...
Catching hepatitis.
And,
all that shit.
Yeah.
Making all the veins in your arms collapse. Yeah.
Yeah. Seem, more clap than Carnegie Hall. So
it's the yin and yang of life though, isn't it?
Yeah. I just think it's hypocrisy.
Yeah.
You say, that was the wrong choice to make. But of course they had a ball terror for 20 years. You know what I mean? Like,
speaking of ball terrors, do you think anyone's... Right, here's a hypothetical. Not hypothetical, it's just a question I have. Do you think in the history of bike racing, anyone's ever lost a nut in a race?
In the race?
In the race. They finished the race with one less nut than they started.
I don't think so, but
Yeah.
My God, it'd be great television.
What about?
I'd be tuning in. In fact, if they could guarantee that Chris Froome would lose a nut in the process of winning the Tour de France this year, I might actually watch the whole race.
Yeah.
Just waiting, because they wouldn't tell me when he's about to lose the nut. So I would watch every stage diligently. I would watch the live coverage, even the flat stages where we belt through Brittany hour upon hour in flat fucking potato farms.
Yeah.
And just waiting for that moment and not knowing how it would happen. How would you lose the nut?
In a way, that makes Lance Armstrong even more of a cheater because he lost his nut before he even fucking got into it, didn't he?
He came prepared. I think it's an issue of preparedness. That's why say what you will about Lance, but he was always better prepared, even in inverted commas, if you're talking about his drug taking. But he's just better prepared. He even lost the nut before he turned up.
Yeah, pre nut loss.
Yeah, he said, look, you fuckers, I'm going to turn up with one less nut and still beat you senseless.
He's like, look, you guys are going to try and lose a nut in the race. I fucking lost it in the warm-up. Right? I go that hard.
I lost it in the van.
I go that hard, mate. Yeah.
Johan and I spent an hour in the RV scouting around for the fucker. Couldn't find it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My warm-up to what I'm going to do is the Tour de France.
Yeah.
Do you know who else only had one nut?
Hitler.
Adolf Hitler. Is that a coincidence? Adolf
Hitler and Lance Armstrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the degrees of separation?
None. They're the same person.
Direct family relation. That is breaking
direct cloning.
News.
This is not a theory. This is fact. Okay. Lance Armstrong is the clone of Adolf Hitler. So when Adolf Hitler shot himself up with Eva Braun in that bunker, right? Some mad scientists ran in, got a bit of his DNA, and thought, right, in about, I can't do the maths, but let's say 50 years, we're gonna have to win the Tour de France.
And so let me get this straight though. Adolf Hitler did all that to win a French bike race.
Yeah.
That was the pinnacle. He'd invaded the country, had it entirely under control at one point.
Yeah.
In fact, most of Western Europe was under his control.
Yeah.
And he thinks, for an encore, I'll win a funny little French race that most people couldn't give a shit about.
Listen, right, I went to the 2015 Tour de France presentation in Tokyo, right? And I had to pay to go there, 1,000 yen, which I thought was fucking ridiculous. They told me there...
I would too if I knew how much 1,000 yen was.
It's like $10, $15. And you know what I mean? Your silence speaks volumes. That's a lot of money, isn't it? To go to a Tour de France presentation. Anyway, I went there. It was full of melts. Absolute dickheads, right? I don't even know. There was like some geisha there. She wandered in.
That was just so everyone knew they were in Japan.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, the people they flew in would have been like, oh, fuck, where are we?
Wouldn't have had a fucking clue.
Yeah.
What's for dinner? Oh, it's sushi. Right. What plane did we get on? I thought we were going to Shanghai. No.
This is China, right?
Yeah. Then why are we talking about France? Anyway, so I was there, and they said, back to the whole Hitler thing, that the Tour de France is the most watched sporting event in the world.
Really?
That's their claim. In terms of viewing figures, like people who, including people on the side of the road and the amount of people who watch it on telly, it's the most viewed thing in the world. That's their claim. It could be bollocks, but...
So they've never seen the Olympics?
They'd never heard of it.
Really?
Yeah. In their defence.
Yeah, because they've only, particularly in Tokyo, where they've only ever had it once and are about to have it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't learn last time.
Failure to.
Yeah. Would you, right, if you were a city, would you want the Olympics in you? I fucking wouldn't.
No, of course not.
Why would you want them foreigners coming?
Foreigners?
Ugh. Especially in Japan. They hate foreigners. Right?
Well, that's inspired me now to want to go to the Tokyo Olympics.
Yeah.
Just to annoy the shit out. My mere presence is annoying the shit out of an entire nation of people.
Yeah.
How could I go wrong? That's just like bang for buck of annoying the shit out of people.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's Hitler's plan.
Yeah, like look at us now. We had to create an entire podcast just to annoy people.
Yeah.
It's a lot of effort. I could just turn up in Tokyo.
Obviously, he's still alive. So Lance Armstrong is Hitler. He was resurrected through, I don't know, science in... When was he born? 70 something? Early 70s?
Yeah,
right?
Something like that. Yeah.
And he was like, hang on a minute, right? Is this what happened to the Aryan race? And he watched the white people in the world just get fatter and shitter all the way through the 90s and into the noughties, and was like, fuck me. And then he discovered like what they get up to on Tinder and how everyone's an absolute cunt. And he was like,
so
I should have been reborn as a Japanese person.
So to step back a little bit though, so Hitler's way of showing the supremacy of the Aryan race was to do so in the least diverse sport on the entire planet, full of other pissy white people.
Yeah.
Nice.
Makes sense, doesn't it?
Well, all he's established is he is the most aggressive, annoying white person.
Why would he... Here's my own question to my own theory, though. Here's where I'm going to sort of take myself to task here. Why did he get resurrected as an American?
Because they were more annoying than Germans.
Anyone listening, if we've somehow rigged up some sort of comment... American. Some sort of comment section in the bottom, cast your vote. Who is more annoying? Is it the Americans or is it the Germans? Just as a whole.
And there's a Frenchman in the corner going, "Thank fuck they didn't mention us."
Oh, Jesus Christ. Well, speaking of French, we're going to be getting onto the French later, aren't we?
We are.
Because they've made something, haven't
You've got nothing but good things to say about French production values.
Fuck me. Anyway, so someone's died. He was 27. It's a shame, but he did it because I guess he was like, I don't know, juicing himself up to the point where his heart couldn't hack it, and he just rode simply too hard. He was probably stretching out a chain every ride, wasn't he? He was wearing out a whole bike, every ride. He was wearing out the brake pads, the rims, the tyres, the bar tape. He'd snap the bars. He'd wear his power meter battery out every ride.
Is this a sad indictment of our cynicism that the minute someone has a heart attack on a bike, we go, drugs, just drugs?
Yeah, yes, it is.
Yeah. That's fucked, isn't it? That's how bad this sport is right now.
What's your news thing then, mate? We can.
So I had the misfortune of watching YouTube, and you noticed, but the Taipei bike show was on.
Which, I didn't notice.
You didn't? Good. It's a real train spotters event. It's the one that's geared mainly around OEM production. It's really for manufacturers and distributors.
For our listeners, and definitely not me, right? Could you explain the concept of OEM? Because some people might not get it.
It's really just the people who actually make the stuff. So just because you have a bike company or a bike brand doesn't mean you actually make anything. And in most cases, you probably don't.
Yeah.
You might design some stuff or pick it out of a lovely little catalogue the manufacturer makes. And so these brands go along to particularly like Taipei and they see some cool innovations or they see some cool product and they say, yep, can we get that made with our name on it, please? Right. Because I reckon there is some dude who would love to spend far too much money on that.
Sometimes they don't even need to go to Taipei, do they? I once made a video about how to make your own wheel company.
Yes. yeah. Well, that's right. Quite frankly, you don't need to leave the house.
No.
But a junket to Taipei sounds like lots of fun.
It does, yeah.
For the big manufacturers, they do see the stuff that you will see in stores in 2 to 3 years.
Yep.
They will have that there to show brands trying to basically flog them, like FSA trying to convince everyone that at some point we will have an electronic group set, for example, that might actually happen. That's where that kind of business gets transacted a bit more. So it's really that kind of selling market.
Can I tell you my hatred of FSA? I will get into this at some point over the next, year of doing this. But FSA for me doesn't stand for full speed ahead. FSA cost me a lot of money in the late 90s when one of their headsets melted and I couldn't get it out of my fucking bike.
And so 20 years later, there's this level of resentment still.
Yeah. If someone had punched your mother in the face 20 years ago, would you think, 20 years later, probably all right? No?
Yeah. Well, at least have let it go on this fucking podcast and not talked about how...
No. Look, FSA, doesn't stand for full speed ahead, and it stands for the first word of FSA stands for fucking. All right? I haven't thought the last two, but I will.
Which leads on to some YouTube channel which shall remain nameless.
Yeah.
Did a little plug or a little thing about this, a thing called X-Shifter. X-Shifter is which turns your otherwise mechanical drivetrain into an electronic one.
It's a shame that this thing's not being video because if you could see my face right now.
I've lost you already.
Yeah.
just wandered off out of the room.
Well,
just leave me talking randomly until I stop talking something.
Anyway, go on. Why would you want to change a mechanical thing into an electronic thing?
Oh, look,
halfway down the fucking... Why don't you,
that is the first of many questions to be asked about this product. However, how it works is this. It still mechanically moves the rear derailleur, and they've really only got it working for the rear derailleur at the moment.
Yeah.
So there'll be about, 100, 200 mil of actual cable, and it goes to a box that sits on on your chain stay or your seat stay.
Yep.
And that is wirelessly connected to some buttons which are now located near your shifter or pretty much anywhere you want to put them. And so when you do the wireless shifting, the little motor in the box attached to your thing pulls the cable amount to engage the shift.
Right.
So theoretically, you could use mismatched components. You don't really need a shifter. Certainly on a road bike, you don't need an STI shifter.
Yep.
You could theoretically have a bike made of completely random parts and you could kind of make it work, which is, describes a lot of bikes really.
Horrendous.
Yeah. However, right, so they did the little story on it and said, hey, this thing's, it's really exciting, this new product. Which demonstrates some really poor journalism to start with, because if you did even the worst Google search of X Shifter, you would discover it's a product that X Shifter launched back in 2016 with the ubiquitous Kickstarter campaign. Go onto their comments page on Kickstarter for the amount of hate that they already have generated in the last 3 years by not actually supplying a product to many of the people who donated to their Kickstarter campaign.
Yeah. Did it not turn up?
Oh, yeah. There's people now who say, look, I joined 2 years ago and still haven't got a product. They had some issues with distribution. They initially were promising a 2-by system where it'd do the front. Now they're just 2 singles. So theoretically, it'd still do the front, but the motor has to be a lot different to pull the amount of cable for a front than a rear. So I haven't actually seen anywhere it works. I'm kind of talking now just about it for 1-by, for mountain bikes or gravel 1-by bikes.
I've already decided in my mind from your thorough description that it's shit.
Oh, it is shit. And so dubious business practices, the current owner, who's the guy who started it, has gone from a direct selling model to having a distributor now. He claims that there were some problems with logistics doing that. So there's that. And as the final kicker, right now, if you want to buy one of these fabulous pieces of kit, it's priced at around $400 US. You could buy a brand new mechanical group set of a very high quality.
You could probably get like the lion's share of an old Tegra one from Wiggle for that, couldn't you? Yeah.
Right. So what I love about this thing is it encapsulates pretty much everything that's wrong with the bicycle industry.
Yeah.
Dudes who think they're smarter than everyone else and will build this product for a market of who fucking knows.
Yeah.
Dudes who are too tight. Like, it's a sport which is built on the idea that you're white and privileged and have money.
Yeah.
Because you just couldn't participate otherwise.
No.
But there seems to be this group of people who want to have things fucking cheap. But $400 is not cheap in the universe. Like, $400 for a piece of shit you bolt onto your bike.
Yeah.
Fuck, dude. Some people wouldn't even spend that on their whole bike.
No.
That's a bike.
Most people don't spend it on their whole bike.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's a product that you've got an expensive
obviously.
sport. Yeah. Just trying to make cheap shit instead of just buying the real product. So from that point of view, fucking annoying. It achieves no real functional purpose unless you've got some really kooky setup that you need a workaround for, which sounds great, but as a business model, then that's fucking stupid, isn't it?
Do you know what that reminds me of? Do you know what that reminds me of? SRAM ETAP.
All right, I'm just going to pretend you didn't say that and keep moving on.
Yeah.
Because, I don't know, like,
what's wrong with cables?
At some point, this would be good if it made some money, this podcast, that we at least had a sponsor.
Okay. SRAN GTAP. There you go. Yeah.
Whatever you believe about that product, it exists as a fully integrated system that makes some sort of sense in a crazy world.
I think I don't want to say hatred, but my disdain for SRAN GTAP is not for the actual product itself. I think it's like
I think it's more for the people that are drawn to that product.
Yeah, but I'm the kind of guy who, hang on, how do I say this without really incriminating myself? Sometimes if I go to a restaurant, if the person who serves the food to me doesn't meet my criteria of what a waitress or waiter in my mind should look like, the food doesn't taste as good to me.
Are you just trying to say you've been disappointed by the product?
No, I'm saying how the product has been presented to me and delivered and the culture around it.
Ah, yeah, I can see that.
A bit like Rafa.
Yeah, but that's a bit harsh because Rafa really is a shit product. There's nothing particularly special about it. Like, at least SRAM ETAP has a degree of innovation and design, and there's some really cool shit going on there.
Their new thing with the 12 gears, the ratios on that are good. I'll give them that.
Yeah, I think that's true innovation. That's the biggest innovation in that product.
The gear ratios on that thing, we discussed this before, haven't we?
Yeah.
Is actually really good. I wish the other superior Nippon Emperor brand should do that. They started to do it by putting a fucking extra couple of teeth on their Dura Ace cassette. Oh, thanks for the 30. All right?
Yeah, well, that's like because you don't want to admit you're entirely wrong. So you give up a little bit of ground. You go, fuck it, we don't need, 32, that's ridiculous. 30, we'll give you 30.
Yeah.
30 seems to make some sense. 32, that's just fucking crazy.
Another thing, now listen, you'll find out, listeners, I'm a bit of a Shimano fanboy, right? But why can't they make, like, Ultegra comes in a 32 tooth, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Why doesn't the Dura Ace one?
Well, because it would be heavy then.
All right.
And people who buy Dura-Ace think they want to buy something light. They're paying all that extra money for that really shit cassette that cracks all the time.
Oh, I bet it's beautiful though.
Yeah, it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
Which is like many things in cycling, which is taking us all the way back around to my X-Shifter.
Yeah, go on.
The continuing joy of that, the gift that keeps fucking giving, is that it's a lovely example of also in this particular case, the one YouTube channel that I was watching demonstrates how little research they actually fucking do.
Yeah.
And how they just plug any old shit that gets thrust in front of them without actually asking any real questions.
I've got the Kickstarter open in front of me now for this X-Shifter thing.
Yeah, it would make a grown man weep looking at that.
Look,
yeah.
Well, one of the main things that offends me is they're using a Pinarello Dogma in bright red with SRAM on it. And a green fucking outer cable.
It's because SRAM don't make anything wireless electron. Oh wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's why. See, it's a product that just, as you said at the very start, if I went no further, we could have ended the conversation. But all the way along the way, and even look, I even hold the gentleman in China who's actually manufacturing responsible.
Yeah.
Because when someone came to you and said, "Could you make this?" he didn't go, "What the fuck? Are you kidding me? This is a stupid idea." He went, "Yeah, sure, why not? I need the money. I'll take your money, dude."
Is it as shit, though, as box components?
Probably not, because some reporting suggests this actually works sometimes.
And doesn't, like, snap as soon as you put 1 watt through the chain?
Well, as soon as you come into human contact, it completely fails.
Fucking hell! I think box components could confirm once and for all the concept of spontaneous combustion, couldn't they?
Well, you could only hope so, really.
So they got this engineer working in box, right? And he's been sat there beavering away. He's like, right, I've got to do this. Yeah, like they've given him the specifics of what he's got to design, and he's been going at it for years and years and years. He's like MIT, Harvard graduate. He knows his shit, right? But someone accidentally wrote at the bottom of the brief, his design brief, must spontaneously combust. And he's done his job because he's a professional. Yeah. But their shit now just spontaneously combusts.
Yeah, well, I think the real indictment is, as you would know, having spent a fair bit of time in Asia, there's a whole bunch of brands that just basically ignore patents from other manufacturers and make drivetrains. And they work better than box stuff.
Yeah.
They have no engineers.
Microshift is one of them?
Microshift actually can be sold in places like the US, but there are some brands in Asia which produce some equipment that look scarily like Shimano, SRAM. Of course, none of them look like Campag.
Shimwomano. For example.
They have more confusing names than that.
Yeah.
But, even Box couldn't even get that shit right. Couldn't just copy someone else's idea and sort of tweak it within the 5% required and move on. They had to completely fuck it up.
Campag Yeslo. There you go. Anyway, should we move on?
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, that is a good point. Nobody buy this X Shifter stuff because it's shit. There you go. Unless you want to sponsor us, Mr. X Shifter, then we'll just say your product's great.
I don't think he has any money. He's still on. Well, I think they've moved off Kickstarter, but I think they're on another crowdsourcing thing at the moment.
Oh, he has got money. Look, I'm looking at his Kickstarter now. He's got $142,483.
Yeah, $150,000 off of people.
Think what you and me could get up to with $142,483.
Well, no matter how debauched, sad, tragic, or unimpressive, it would still be better spent than developing the X Shifter.
True. I'd probably spend it all on Woolworths hot cross buns.
Hats. I'll just buy hats.
Bunnings hats.
Actually, well, maybe if I was at Bunnings, it'd just be sausages.
Just sausages.
I would just be loitering outside buying one sausage after another.
Hey, listen, mate, do you know where you can get a really good sausage? Where? Bunnings. Oh, right. I'd have never have thought that. Yeah, but, people don't realise, but that's where you go for your sausages.
In Australia, we do. We love the Bunnings sausage. It's where you go for a shit sausage, but that cultural experience.
So what we're going to do next, we are going to do... Oh, this is it, isn't it?
Who thought that was a good idea?
Yeah, this is a segment we've got called Who Thought That Was a Good Idea? We look at a product each week and we decide whether it's a good idea or a shit idea. Spoiler alert, the one we're going to talk about this week, shit idea. Okay.
Yeah, well, that is pretty much blown everything. That's the only surprise we've got in the whole podcast, and you gave it away early.
Well, anyone who's into cycling should know that as soon as we say what the product is, they'll have already decided what the conclusion is anyway. Well, I'll tell you what, would you like to introduce the product we're going to do due diligence on?
Well, due diligence on a product actually is quite iconic, and many would argue that modern cycling would be a quite shit experience without. And
Jimmy Savile is iconic. Look what he ended up doing.
Yeah, but I don't think Look Pedals ever touched any children, did they?
No. Oh, there you go. Look Pedals.
I snuck it in there for you.
You say that, but they might have. It wouldn't put it past me because of where they're from.
Well, in road cycling, there would be no clipless pedal without Look.
Yeah.
They just brought a new product to market and everyone thought it was a really great idea. And
a genuine innovation, you could say.
There was a genuine innovation, although it was really born of a shameless need to make more money.
Yep.
Because they were not making enough in ski bindings. And so they just reappropriated an existing idea, which is a really smart thing to do, and sold it. And if it wasn't for the great French cyclist, Bernard Hinault, the product may not have seen the amount of acceptance it did, certainly through the professional cycling ranks.
So to our listeners, probably all of you who ride bikes probably clip your feet into your pedals using some clipping system where you spin your heel out the back and it comes unclipped like a ski binding, right?
Yeah.
And there's mountain bike ones and there's road ones, right? All of them, this is right, started from Look. That whole thing.
Yeah, Look weren't the first to come up with this clipping, being attached to the pedal idea. If you delve deep enough, at 2:00 in the morning when you can't sleep, you will find other people who had the similar idea. But they were the first to bring a product to market that was actually functioning and easy to look after and worked really, really well.
Yep.
And we're lucky enough that they had an association with Hinault and the team at the time. And this was about 85, 86. And then it sort of all just went on from there.
Yeah.
But a nice bit of trivia. I'm just going to test your trivia knowledge here.
I won't know it, but go on. I mean, the listeners.
All the listeners? Yeah. So I'll leave a little pause so they can shout out as they're driving in their cars or on the train. Yeah. I just want to hear them shout things out on a train. Yeah. If we're on that train, then we'll know it's them and they're listening to our podcast because they'll suddenly shout out.
Probably a high chance.
Yeah. So Sean Kelly, the great Irish cyclist, who, just to warn you, so we don't come into fisticuffs, you can't say a bad word about.
Okay. He can't say a bad word either. He can't say any words.
I think his commentary on cycling is a gem to behold. He's like the F. Scott Fitzgerald of cycling commentary.
Yeah.
Never have so few words conveyed so much.
All right.
He was one of the last holdouts with toe clips.
Yeah.
So, look, pedals came out 85, 86.
Yep.
How long do you think before Sean gave it away and actually decided, you know what? I'm going to go with those newfangled devices. What year did he finally swap over?
Well, I don't know the answer, but I'm going to guess because he's
A curmudgeonly Irish
from yeah.
fuck.
Okay, good. Yeah, you said it. It's probably better if you say it than I say it due to political tensions and all that sort of shit. You're far enough away from the paddies to not offend them.
So I gave some minor offence, and then you thought, fuck it, I'll just wade in.
Listen,
You just ran in.
Double down.
And delivered some sort of massive right hook.
double down. Yep. Very much like a bare knuckle boxer in a gypsy caravan car park.
Okay. Things I'm not going to confuse you with. Gypsy boxers in a car park.
Right. So Sean Kelly is the bare knuckle gypsy boxing of not adopting modern technology. Would you say that? Would that be fair?
Yeah. Oh, very much so.
Right.
Yeah.
So-
Notorious.
In 86 it came out.
86. How long everyone else has taken it up pretty quickly. Then Time came out with theirs, I think. Not long. Time. We'll save them for another week.
Fucking hell, they're shit. Right. I'm going to say 1990.
92. He held out till 1992.
Even though
Everyone else had.
And that was his job.
There was him and some fucking crazy Belgian dude probably
Yeah.
who'd been riding since 1948 and was still on the tour. Because you could be back then.
Yeah.
If you popped enough drugs.
Yeah.
Ate enough rat sack.
So
You could power through a few Camisas each year.
did he? So he finally got onto it. Now, all right. So look.
Yeah. I'm not sure what his motivation was. Was it just, I'm sick of faffing
just
around.
told him to,
I'm just
probably.
sick of my feet falling asleep
Yeah.
as I ride, the extreme pain that came with riding. Did you ever ride toe clips as a young man?
Yeah, I did. It was shit.
Yeah. Right
Your
shit.
feet- yeah, it's horrible.
So, which leads us to the reason of why you think, despite all this innovation and excitement, great riders, and you think it's a shit product.
Right. Here, right. I'm going to list reasons why look pedals are shit. Right. One, there's alternatives that are way, way better. Right. The greatest pedal of all time is the Dura Ace pedal. They're so good that very much like the Toyota Hilux, ISIS use the Dura Ace pedal in the desert. And it's not failed them yet. They targeted a shipment from Wiggle.
Can I just ask though, like the Hilux, have they strapped a 50 cal to the back of it?
Yeah. So
I think that's what makes the Hilux particularly effective for ISIS is the fact that it's a 50 cal off the back of it to brass up some locals.
Well, look, when you are, in ISIS, your main job is like beheadings, forcing people into orange jumpsuits,
Weddings, funerals.
that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But you
Festive events.
also like to take a sideways view at life. You like to have a bit of fun sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, it's
Yeah.
very exhausting just trying to establish your own caliphate all the time.
Look, there is a segment that goes through Aleppo, which I may have made on Strava. It's never been ridden. Right? That would be the bravest KOM of all time at the moment. Right? I made it. It's not been ridden. If I was going to go and ride it though, I'd be fucking well not using look pedals. I'd be using Dura Ace. Because if I come unclipped...
I think I'd be using the Hilux with the 50 cal, to be honest.
Yeah. You'd have your Garmin in the fucking glove box and just with your head down that, wearing a burqa, praying for wearing a Rafa burqa.
A Rafa burqa.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, stop. You keep giving him ideas. Next week, there'll be a Rafa burqa.
So anyway, this Aleppo KOM is gonna. I'm gonna do it at some point. Anyway, why are look pedals shit? Because Shimano doing better, right? Shimano do the identical pedal better, which probably look are going, you fucking bastards, about, because let's face it, Shimano just nicked the idea and just made it better, like they do with everything, but fair enough to them, right? Here's a test for our listeners. If you've got look pedals, if you know anyone who's got look pedals, step one, go and have a look in the mirror and just really have a word with yourself. Secondly, go and find your bike hold the body of the Look pedal and wiggle it, they will be playing the bearings, right? They will be playing the bearings because they're shit. Here's an analogy for you. Going back to skiing. Have you ever been skiing before?
No, I don't ski actually.
Right. Do you know that, like, if you go skiing, you can either buy your own ski boots or you can rent ones?
Oh, I know that. Yeah,
Right.
I don't live in a fucking cave, man.
All right. Well, he knows that. So we can continue with this. If you buy your own ski boots, they're all fitted to you, they're nice and they're really good. If you rent ones, they do exactly the same job, but they're like this sort of one-piece moulded, scratched up fiberglass shit version of what a ski boot should be. That is what a Look pedal is. The Look pedal is the rented shit ski version ski boot. The Dura Ace one is the one you can buy from the shop that gets fitted to you. They do the same fucking thing. And also, the other thing that makes the Look ones even shitter, they cost the same price.
But a rented car is the fastest car in the world. So surely the rented boot is the fastest boot in the world.
Right. So if Look, are you listening? Here's how you fix your pedals. You don't change the design. All you do is you just start renting it out like Adobe rents its fucking software to people.
Yeah.
And then
subscription service.
Subscription service to the shit pedals. Then people wouldn't moan about them so much.
Well, there would be that. I just don't. If you want to continue your ski boot analogy, do the rented ski boots creak the same way the cleats will on once they start wearing on a Look pedal?
Yeah, they do. So yeah, Look pedals are rubbish. Why are we talking about this? They've released a new one, haven't they?
Well, not really. All they've done is like variations on a design. They keep bringing out. Well, the newest one they released is just a variation with now contains a ceramic bearings, which I will just stop and let you go for a good 12 minutes on ceramic bearings in anything.
I don't even need to go for 12 minutes. I've said it all before. Ceramic bearings are ridiculous in a bike. Anyone who knows Hambini, right? There's this bloke called Hambini I'm mates with on the internet. He's a aerospace engineer, aerodynamics engineer, and he's into bikes as well. He designs turbos in cars. He hates ceramic bearings as well. He hates them more than I do. That's saying something, all right? So if any of you lot want to really hear someone laying into ceramic bearings, go and have a look at Hambini, Hambini. I hate ceramic bearings because they're for idiots. Who needs them? Chris Froome's won the Tour de France year after year using fucking cup and cone Shimano bearings, all right? Don't buy ceramics. So Look are now selling their pedals with ceramics in them.
Yes. Yeah. It's a hybrid model. It's kind of bizarre. It's the least... It was just the marketing department, I think, going, you know what, fellas, we haven't done anything in a while. Yeah. I think we need to have something to send to the magazines and the websites. There's no magazines anymore, is there?
No.
To send to the websites so they can talk about our brand. Could you just knock something up for us? And the engineers went, fudge me, we've got nothing. It works. It's got a little bit of play in it, and the cleats squeak, and everything wears pretty quickly. But apart from that, it's a great product. I don't see why we should do anything. I'm
surprised they didn't just make their axles even shitter, and then when they inevitably bend, they could market it as asymmetric.
Or are they the smartest businessmen in the world? Built-in obsolescence of their product.
from the minute you get out of the box.
You get from the minute you actually attach it to your cranks, it is essentially dying before your very eyes.
As soon as you even start thinking about buying it, they've already fucked you over.
As soon as you've bought them and put them on, you need to start thinking. You can start thinking about buying the new ones to replace them.
Yeah, nice.
In fact, in the tragic world of the road cycling, that is probably close to the perfect product.
It's very much like being a heroin addict, right? When you're a heroin addict, when you're shooting up heroin, do you know what you're thinking about? Where's my next hit coming from?
Then that would be the perfect cycling product.
I had a mate called John once who was so addicted to cigarettes, he would crave a cigarette as he was smoking a cigarette.
So did he John, then try smoking 2 cigarettes?
Well, yeah, but then he would just crave another double. And it got ridiculous.
So was he just then literally a man full of cigarettes out of every orifice puffing? I
think that his addiction wasn't just about cigarettes. Addiction comes from a deeper place, right? Watching him drink a pint as well, was incredible. He would drink a pint and try and order to the barman whilst drinking like that. It was sad but funny.
Oh, they're the best friends though, aren't they? Because they make us feel better about ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to, because if you realise, it's like that joke, if you're with a group of people and there are no dickheads, guess what? That's you. You're the dickhead.
It's like turning up to a group ride and your mate has bought some new look pedals. You're like, at least I'm not him.
Would you acknowledge him? You've turned up to the bunch ride.
Yeah.
Let's say we go to the same bunch ride.
Set the scene for me.
I'm setting the scene.
Yeah.
It's the sun is just breaking over the trees. It's that little suburban area that we all like to meet. Probably a park.
You've made some sacrifices to get there, haven't you? You've gone to bed early.
Definitely gone to bed early because let's be honest, I'm getting a little bit too old to actually turn up from some sort of party event. To
rave.
Actually rave, yeah. Right, that marked us as old right there.
Yeah.
And, so we've turned up to a local car park with a bunch of other tragics who've got nothing else to do.
Still gurning from the night before that. Fucking bottom lip over your face. Yeah.
And you're already there.
Yeah.
And I roll up proud as punch because I've got some new shit on my bike that I would desperately want you to see.
Yes. What is it?
Well, what I do first is I don't tell you because that would just be too gauche, wouldn't it? Just to say, to go, hey, check out my new... No one does that. So what I do is I feign some difficulty clipping in.
Beautiful.
And then I just casually lean over and fuck these new look pedals. I'm just finding a little bit difficult to start with.
Yeah.
Do you have any tips for me?
Yeah.
Given you're a fucking guru.
Or you would say something like, these are... I'll tell you what, right? These pedals are really good, but they're not what I thought they'd be. They're like good in a different way. And then
because you don't want to admit you made a purchase error. Like
Yes.
you made a bad decision. No one ever wants to do that.
No.
The question then is, I've leant over and said, given you the idea that I might have some new pedals, and you've looked down, and to your horror and chagrin, you've discovered...
Time, iClick.
Oh, no, come on. I'm not
that bad.
No, we're not at pedo level.
Look, KO Classic 3.
No, I've lashed out. I've bought the Keo Carbon with these ceramic bearings, buddy.
Doesn't Keo sound like a shit hatchback name?
So a bad car and a shit pretty average pedal.
They also sell them in white. Who's buying white pedals?
Well, let's be honest. If your judgment's off so far that you're buying look pedals, then you're probably buying the white ones.
Yeah. So the look Keo blade are the top end, right?
Yep. I've bought those with the ceramic bearing.
Why?
But you haven't. What are you doing? You haven't told me what your reaction is on the in the car park.
And what were you on before? 105s probably.
No, I think I'm still in the transition. So
speed. Don't say speed.
No, I was in transition, so I had a pair of mountain bike SPD pedals. What's worse? Here's another hypothetical for later in the show. What's worse? The dude who rocks up on Keo Carbon whatevers, or the guy on mountain bike pedals on a road bike?
It's fucking mountain bike pedals.
Nah.
You reckon?
Nah.
Because it's not just it's the shoes that go with it.
Oh yeah.
Is he on road shoes?
Yeah, but he's not. No, because that gets silly. Yeah, we're not talking about
he's on a mountain
arsonists or something.
Yeah.
He's got mountain bike shoes on the mount. He's got mountain bike pedals, mountain bike shoes.
Yeah.
And
he's got a fucking basket on his bike?
On a road bike. No, he's just got a road bike. Yeah. It's a carbon something, indistinguishable from the other carbon somethings.
It's like a specialised Alez or something, isn't it?
Oh no, that's aluminium. That would have some element of.
Oh, that's cool now, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like a mid-range.
It's a Fuji
carbon. Yeah. Nice.
Like that. Graphics with a hint of 1992.
With fulcrum wheels.
Oh, always
that's what he'd have.
Yeah, which don't be mean, dude. I bought him as an upgrade. But I think that guy is less offensive because at least he just doesn't give a fuck.
No.
He's like, got mountain bike pedals, mountain bike shoes. Fuck you.
Yeah,
I need to buy into your roadie bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like your ceramic bearings, right? So I would be proud as punch.
Yeah.
Hey, I've got these brand new... I'm actually got road pedals with my new road shoes.
Yeah.
Cities, of course, because it's another bad buying decision.
Fuck me.
And...
Baggy as well. You got them a little bit big, have you? Bought them a bit big.
Oh no, they'd be too tight. Because the guy at the shop at State would told
And
me
hurt
they
your
stretched.
toe just there.
Yeah. I'm already in pain. I've only ridden the 2 kilometres
You
from my
think,
house.
you'll think they'll break in, but they never do.
Of course, they never.
They never
do.
fucking break in.
Yeah. I love the optimism of people in shops when they're buying, shoes on special. Oh,
Yeah.
These will give a bit, won't they?
Yeah.
Fuck no, never. They've got a carbon sole.
Fuck me.
Um,
Like, is my frame going to give a bit?
so
Is my KO blade going to give
I
a
think
bit?
you look.
Turns out, yeah.
I think you look down at my pedal shoe combination. I think there's just complete silence,
Yeah.
a shaking of the head,
Yeah.
and I think you just turn around and just roll away home from the bunch. So dismayed.
Well, I don't think it'd be that obvious. I would be disappointed, but it would be like it would be the same sort of sensation as like we'd been mates for a while, and then we'd started to learn more about each other gradually, and then like you'd said to me, "Oh, I used to be married." I was like, "All right, but I'm not now." Like, what happened? Oh, we got divorced, and she took all my money and stuff. Oh, why is that then? Oh, I hit her once. I was drunk. And I've never done it again. I've had like years of therapy, and that was 30 years ago. I just wouldn't be able to look at you the same. It'd be like that. When you're in Photoshop, and then you got a picture on the screen, and you lower the saturation so it goes slightly black and white.
Oh
So,
yeah, as you head towards sepia.
yeah, it'd be like that. There'd be
out.
there'd be a bit more. It'd be like a washed outness to the. I'd be like, oh,
Yeah, it's just diminishes the other person ever so slightly.
Slightly, and I think
Not
that
enough to throw, to take a moral stand
not
right
at all.
there and there. Where because you can't go
not at all.
You can't throw your toys out of the basket at that point.
I'd be like, oh, who's coming on the ride? Oh yeah,
Yeah, maybe not.
he's
Is he
coming,
going?
is he? Yeah. Oh, that's good.
yeah. Oh.
That's good. He was good last week. He took a few pulls in the front, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it would be like I'd sort of weirdly sort of fallen out of love with that person a bit. Like the romance, the bromance would be gone.
Yeah, I think they would just be getting smaller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's almost like they would shrink. Like they're sort
physically shrink.
or like sort of fade, become slightly transparent. Like
In that case, if you really liked them, they would go from sort of being, Dwayne the Rock Johnson down to like Jason Statham.
Right. Well, they wouldn't be glowing as much. They wouldn't be like like when you meet someone you really like, oh wow, like you always notice them.
Oh yes, yeah. You think, oh, this is lovely.
Who's that?
And then,
Yeah. I hope.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope I can sit next to her in science today. That sort of shit. When you're 15. No.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I guess I didn't know anyone like that when I was 15, but yeah. Well, I did, but they were mostly girls. Unlike your fascination with other boys.
Yeah. And I was the teacher, and I was 28 at the time as well. And all that. Yeah. Anyway, so look pedals are shit. The bearings got developed playing them. They look. There's no sort of like. I don't know. They just look clunky. They look clunky.
But to interrupt another one of your rants.
Yeah.
Here is one of the really fascinating things about this pedal. Fundamentally, the design hasn't changed.
No.
In the time that you and I have been riding and avid cyclists, they haven't changed the design. They actually have never fixed the problem. Like many brands will bring out products and they kind of clunky for a year or two, and they just gradually, incrementally
finesse
get better.
It up a bit.
And they get better and better and better. I can't really, SRAM and front derailleurs are probably a good example of that, and some people would argue they still haven't got that down.
No.
That's people who can't set up a front derailleur who believe that, but that's okay.
That's me, by the way.
Yeah, if you're riding in say that front derailleurs by SRAM are shit, then, maybe
You're
read
correct.
a manual or do something.
Yeah.
Do something else, in fact. Don't play with your bike.
Get into Games Workshop.
Yeah. Give it up. Paint figurines, you useless fucker.
Get a Badger airbrush and a subscription to White Dwarf magazine.
2 words for you. Airfix models.
Oh, beautiful. Tamiya, mate.
Oh, yeah. You had to go a little bit fancy and go Japanese, didn't you?
Yeah, I know.
I think it's fascinating that they haven't done anything to really change that design, which does have a few issues.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah.
And same with the cleats. The cleats generally still get a little bit squeaky and against the pedal, and it's been a known problem for only about a decade or so at least.
I equate it to the baguette.
The baguette.
Yeah. The baguette is imperfect. It's too big. It hurts your jaw. You can like get cuts and stuff if it's too hard. Have the French fixed it? Have they fuck?
Well, they're quite
Same
happy.
as look.
Same as the look pedal. Okay.
Yeah.
There's a reluctance to admit failure on the part of the French.
Yes.
I'm trying to think of anything else that they've done where they failed to admit failure.
Time bikes, are they French?
They are French. They're very French, in fact. Couldn't get much more French. But what about look bikes? Look frames are pretty...
They got too much. You got little yellow bits on them.
They just got too much of everything on them.
Too many colours.
Too
Too
many-
nice. Too much 3K weave.
Oh, we'll save the 3K weave for another podcast.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So basically, I just hate look pedals. They're ridiculous. I always find out the kind of person who buys a look pedal also has a Stages power meter.
I'd love to see your numbers on those correlations.
I've got 2.
Is there... Well, that's an awesome sample size right there.
And he hasn't even got that power meter anymore. So I've got 1.
Got 1.
But he saw the error of his ways. But he's still got the fucking look pedals.
Does he ride city shoes?
No, I don't know what shoes he rides. Shimano shoes. Yeah. As much as I like Shimano, their shoes. I'm saying their women's shoes are better than their bloke shoes.
Do you know what you get if you combine the worst of city shoes and the worst of Shimano shoes?
Bont.
North Wave.
Oh, they're shit. A lake.
Yeah, okay.
North Wave are just like, isn't that a surf brand or something? Fat Willie's fucking cycling shoes.
Well, they're Italian, so...
It doesn't... North Wave doesn't sound like an Italian brand, does it?
No, because it's an Italian brand trying not to sound Italian.
Why? Idiots. Everyone loves the Italians.
I think you can say Itai. It's not that bad.
We've just said it. Yeah.
It's out there now.
Yeah.
If you're Italian and you're offended,
if you're Italian,
send us a letter.
Unless you are a member of the Italian Postal Service, in which case you're a cunt, because you took 3 months to get my extra light cyber ear hub back to the bloke who makes the fucking thing. He was claiming it was going to get there. I thought it had been fucking lost. Months and months I was waiting there. I had to rebuild my tune hub, buy some new J-Ben fucking CX Rays, right? Fuck me. I was using an extra light front and a tune rear.
If you don't wake up with a fucking horse's head in your bed in the morning, I'm fucking surprised.
Yeah.
You've just slated an entire nation.
Well, look, the bloke who runs Extra Light is all right, though, but I think he hates me.
Surprise, fucking surprise.
Yeah, I slagged off his skewers once in the video, and he didn't like it.
Oh, I didn't. Well, you see, it's that special
Yeah, those
way
like
you have of
lightweight
making
ones.
friends.
Those lightweight ones that just like hurt your ham.
When you were a small boy and you started to get interested in girls, did you have the strategy of just running up and punching them in the face?
No.
Trying to get their attention and then being surprised that they wanted to have nothing to do with
No,
you?
I was never like that.
It seems to be the key for you,
I may have kicked
human
one.
interaction.
I may have kicked a girl once in the shin, but that was because she... I don't think that was romantic. It was definitely not romantic. It wasn't driven by lust. That was just a fight. Because I was sick, I had to get my mum to come in and pick me up, blah, blah, blah. I was one of the teachers.
Which was handy because you were still living at home at the time.
Yeah. The French. All right.
I think we've unmercilessly flogged the poor Frenchies.
All right. So what's the next bit then?
We're on to our favourite thing, again, with a great opportunity for people to write in or send us offensive messages with our hypotheticals. Maybe, we might review them the following week if anyone's got any extra contributions.
So what's this podcast's hypothetical question?
I don't know. I hadn't really thought that far about it.
Yeah, we haven't got one.
How about this one?
Yeah.
If he was a young man today, would Lance Armstrong still be the best cyclist in the world? Would he win the Tour de France? Would he touch up? Would he paste the very pasty Chris Froome?
Would he touch up Chris Froome?
Yeah, in the modern era, in this era.
Define touch up.
Bit of both, either way you want to take
Sexually touch up.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, who knows?
We had another one about Chris Froome bench pressing 12-year-olds, didn't we?
Yeah, so the hypothetical...
Those worlds can't meet in this podcast. Lance Armstrong touching up Chris Froome and then the 12-year-old being involved.
No, you got to pick one or the other.
One or the other, yeah. All right, let's do that then. Lance Armstrong, could he hold his own against this generation's hard men?
Yeah, if he was at his peak now, given the way the world is, would he still win the Tour de France? Would he beat either the Froome or anyone? would he still be the best cyclist in the world?
Is he allowed to use modern training techniques like everyone else is doing?
Yeah, he just exists now.
He's just now.
We've just shifted, almost 20 years the time schedule.
So what your question really is
if that man emerged now,
could Adolf Hitler win the Tour de France?
Well, yes.
Yeah.
I think, Adolf Hitler would win the Tour de France easily because he has the thing called the Blitzkrieg on his side.
That's right.
That's a bunch of stormtroopers launching in with the accompaniment of some Tiger tanks and some
And he could do what Team Sky
Stuka
did.
bombers.
Team Sky with the youth program. He's got his own youth program, hasn't he?
He does. It's it turns out a very successful youth program.
Way better than Sky's one.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
it
shit.
just smashes it really.
Yeah.
And they were willing to die. I haven't seen any one of the young Sky riders being willing to die for the Froomster.
Yeah. All right. Could Adolf Hitler win the Tour de France then? In the body, if he occupied the body of Lance Armstrong,
Which apparently he does.
he does, yeah. I'll say yes.
Yeah, I think he's such a twisted fuck.
Yeah.
He would, even in an era where it's much more difficult to cheat, he would still cheat. He would take every advantage he could. The man is shameless.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
such a massive. Is he a narcissist? Whatever it is, whatever his psychological condition is, for him it runs so deep that he would do anything anyway. He's not going to be limited by the conventions of the time.
Does he have the right physique though to compete against today's lads?
I think he would make himself have that
He
physique.
just skinny himself down and
Yeah, which is what he did anyway.
yeah.
You know, he went on that
Chemo.
which is the great weight loss
Lost a nut.
program. Yeah,
How much does a
how
nut
that
weigh?
hasn't become a doyen of the Hollywood set as a weight loss sort of program.
Yeah.
The new Atkins diet. You undergo chemo and waste away thanks to cancer.
Nice.
Thanks to a life-threatening disease that you may not survive.
Yeah.
The only dieting program you may not live through.
I reckon he would win. I reckon he would.
Yeah, I think he'd romp it in. And I think he's angry enough. If you look at the how he treated Jan Ulrich,
Yep.
the disdain he had for the German.
I think he's the kind of guy who revels in attention. Like his fame probably pushed him on as much as anything to win those Tour de France as he did again and again. Like his superstardom drove him because there's got to be a drive, hasn't there?
Oh yeah, he's psychologically unhinged in some way.
Right.
That's the key thing. There's something in that eats away at him that just compels him even now. He's out to want to be in the spotlight, to want to be people to have him come to events, to be the center of attention. If you've ever listened to the Worst Cycling podcast after this one, which, thanks to us, now he only has the second worst podcast in cycling history.
Yeah.
Every conversation would eventually turn back around to Lance and how Lance did something or what Lance, not even what he thought, but talking about things that he did rather than whatever the topic du jour might have been. So that's the man that he is,
I think he would almost be a cross between Chris Froome and Contador in his riding style that he adopted, I think.
I think tragically, and this is the great tragedy of our hypothetical, is that in the modern era, you and I would describe him as a breath of fresh air against the excruciatingly dull, boring, asinine road professional cyclists of the early 21st century.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think he would be swashbuckling.
So, yes. Yeah.
Like a pirate. He'd be like he'd be going for it.
Maybe literally.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally with a cutlass.
I'd hope
Alpe d'Huez.
I'd hope there'd be punch-ups.
Oh, there'd have to be. I mean, I'm offended by... You just look at Chris Froome's Instagram feed, it's so dull. You do want to you would think about punching the man if you saw him.
You look at him and you just think, why am I alive?
Oh, well, why is he alive?
Yeah. He might very well not be. You ever thought about
It's
that?
quite possible, yeah. It's like a Weekend at Bernie's scenario.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just with, members of Team Sky just holding him up.
Team Sky winning it again and again, it would be like Groundhog Day, wouldn't it? Fuck me, I've got to relive this again.
That would
Some skinny twat.
Imagine if your Groundhog Day was the final day of the Tour de France with Chris Froome winning. So every day you would have to go through this adulation of Chris Froome.
Some charade of like pretending you give a fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're excited because you love cycling.
Like a lot of things in life, really.
But it's been diminished by the uninspiring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I reckon we could end it there.
Yeah.